Alright. Hello, this is nationalised back for another video. Last time, Stalina was elected to office. And this time, we'll be doing this part of the focus stream. At least, this will be until the smutter happens. So, the Stalina presidency. The election of Stalina as president of Komi has brought a mixture of uncertainty, trepidation, hope and fear to the nation. Her election had solidified the rightward shift of the Republic, but more importantly, is viewed as indictment of the ineffective establishment politics of the previous government, and the extremists who sought to take advantage of it, yet instead of flocking to extremists promising lies, people chose stability. These extremists appraise her very, so they know that the dangers she poses to them. At the same time, the rest of the nation knows Stalina as a staunchly principled Democrat who will prevent the collapse of the stage from all necessary means. She will bring the end of chaos and restore stability to the Republic. Hopefully, at least. A victory for democracy. The results of the elections are in. The Democratic coalition now has comfortable majority in the National Assembly. The radicals and extremists have been defeated at the polls, marginalized vastly in our government. This is a great day for our republic and for our democracy. While the radicals of the far right and far left may contend and result, these elections prove to have greatly weakened their chances at power. No extremist has any chance to be elected peacefully and democratically, but our government must tread carefully. The leftists and their rightist counterparts not only have a stronger reason to pursue power with more violent means. Still, with a majority, we are free to pursue our agenda with much more easily than if we need to cooperate with any radicals. We must act quickly if we want to stabilize Russia, the Republic, and our rule. Our democracy remains secure, at least for now. That's happened in Vietnam. Very interesting. I don't know what the OBRI stands for. Got an ultimatum from the Principality Vic starting a border war. But we are well trained, we are not entirely strong. So that's been done with. No, just sovereign reformism. The Korean Republic is fundamentally flawed, unstable, and possesses critical weaknesses, one which even the PSD has contributed to. Ours is a party that proudly upholds the traditions of the past and unapologetically patriotic for our nation. However, even the most zealous among our party, have realized the dangers of excess and that the need for reform is real, and in these reforms that Stalina implements, despite the flaws and issues of the Republic, it does not have to be this way. We will bring the Republic to its true potential step by step. Reformation may be slow, but we will set the nation on the path towards stability and will ensure that the Republic can truly be a sovereign power which proudly upholds the legacy of Russia. Nothing there, nothing there. So, most of that's all gone. All Russia's ambition. Stalina was not a superstitious woman, but it was sometimes difficult to ward off such baseless, irrational thoughts, no matter what one's actual beliefs were. She certainly knew better than to ascribe omens to completely random things like weather, but as she prepared to step onto the balcony of the presidential palace to give her inaugural address, she felt a small, silly measure of optimism. It was a beautiful day. Indeed, it is likely could not have been a more pleasant atmosphere. The sun was out and not blinding. The wind was refreshing but not overpowering. The temperature noticeable, but it was pleasant in a pleasant way. It, of course, meant nothing, but it almost felt like a sign of a newer, better era, even though she knew what would have to do next. The Republic's problems were far from over. Extremists and violence still dubbed under the surface and would need to be dealt with, which to say nothing of the surrounding statelets who were eyeing them closely. A rumor of war circulated. It was not a surprise or saw the unification of the motherland as the greatest mission, herself no exception. Today was the first steps in a new era of the Republic, and for Russia, adorned in attire befitting the head of state, Stalina walked out onto the presidential palace balcony through the cheers of the people below her, placed their trust in one who represented order, stability, and moderation from the forces that threatened to tear the Republic apart. It was for them she would work, and it was for them she will not fall. As the crowds quieted, she rested her hands atop the sides of the podium and began to speak. Citizens of the Republic, it is an honor to speak as your next president, Svetlana Stalina. I think Slava means hooray. The foundation of the PAFLP, like a party. The foundation of PFLP. The revolution in Lavana has taken a new turn. Chairman of the Hoi4, George Habash, declared the party's foundation into the Popular Front of the Liberation of Palestine, a self-described Big Tent socialist party, in the vein of old Palestinian Communist Party. The PFLP will, on paper, represent all people of Palestine, from Jews to Arabs to Druze, in an attempt to create a truly democratic state in the Middle East. However, discrimination towards Jews in particular continue in the largest criticism of Habash's government. Additionally, the satellite sister republics have been established in Transjordan and Lebanon, creating small but powerful communist blocs in the region. Chairman Habash has shown the world his dream for Palestine, and as the international community looks once more to the east, it remains to be seen if the dream will come true. Will this make peace? Up to debate. Speaking of which, the actual people's Palestine people's the PFLPs actually does exist with that flag exactly. So you know. Nixon impeached. Japan takes northern Ireland. We're losing a border clash. At least if reform Western Russia, then becomes the West Russian Korean Republic, becomes the West Russian Republic. So, support the nationalists. The unfortunate truth of the Republic lies in the very precarious position and is surrounded by enemies who would seek for destruction. We do not have the luxury of reciting every previous government's failure, but not when we face invasion from our neighbours. Nonetheless, while we cannot provide full relief for the less fortunate citizens, we can offer something that also improves our national situation. We will reform existing welfare programs and tie them with public service, be it public administration, law enforcement, or military service. We need people to fill these positions, and these extra benefits will be appealing and strengthen our state through alleviating manpower shortages. Finally, we will ensure that our veterans are fully taken care of. But what does it say to the nation who lets those who so loyally languish when their service ends? And my PS4 just automatically turned off. Last time. What? I want to run the TV on. Just got you back in there, but we're actually back in there. He's been deposed. There's a garrison that was slaughtered. And structural reserves. Infantry of equipment. Maybe it's support equipment. Okay, so the national day ain't going up. Okay, now I definitely did. No, I'm not risking it. Investigate discrimination allegations. It has come to our attention that there are numerous reports of systematic abuse and discrimination of minorities by state apparatus, from law enforcement, the military, and even public service. Despite the fact these are full of equal citizens of the republic, we must face the uncomfortable fact that such discrimination is alive and well in the state. This is, of course, intolerable, and Stalina and the PSC will not let it continue. A state that allows its own citizens to be treated in such a way is undescribable, weak, and abusive, and it will set us down the path of ruin. We will immediately investigate these allegations and exercise these criminal rules from the state body. There is no tolerance for the behavior under Stalina's administration, not now, not ever. Kerorov is destroying everyone. Brodsky's guns have been learned. Nope, German civil war that was just destroying my computer. I'll check if the savers. Yep, we're still recording. That is a good thing. And Germany is in a wild mess. And we'll allow it to be so. I think I just farted, pardon me. Front and Burgundy are kicking each other in the shins. That's been done. The National Reclamation Act. Russia must be reunited. Despite all the differences between the factions of the Republic, everyone agrees in the fundamental fact that much discussion has been had on what must be done, and now it is time to put words into action and begin orienting our state for this monumental task. The National Reclamation Act will be introduced into the National Assembly. This act will properly fund our production, expand our industry, codify regulations for military operations, and distribute resources, manpower, and funding to our diplomatic and integration agencies in preparation for reclaiming Russia. Russia has been broken for too long. by our efforts, she will be united once more. Hoi4 win there. The bombing stopped for a long time. Life is in a very large portion of Russia has been defined by German terror bombings. Campaign, an entire generation of Russians have grown up in the blasted ruins. Sorry, I'm taking off my jumper. Quite warm. Always watching the skies and ready to run for cover. The movement, the dark figures of bombers themselves are spotted. An entire generation of government and whatever the ideology has struggled they're establishing infrastructure on a industrial base of any kind, and what little is built is often promptly destroyed, not anymore. Millions of Russians have not had to make desperate runs to safety for days. Repairs of civilian and military infrastructure have progressed, not been destroyed in turn. New construction will still stand, and a realization has dawned: the bombers have stopped. To those with access to information from the outside, it is believed that civil chaos is engulfing the hated Reich and its colonial extension in the Reich commissariats has rendered it impossible for their aerial efforts to continue. To those without hope, it is believed by many to be a gift from God, even as ordinary Russians celebrate something approaching delirium. However, others speak of dark clouds on the horizon. The many Russian statelets no longer suffering the paralysis of bombs of the Germans are now free to look outward. Only time will tell how they choose to proceed. Clear skies, dark clouds. So lost the terrible thing, which everyone, everywhere around Russia, the only exception being Omega, because they never had it in the first place, because technically they're a finished puppet state. We don't have the terror bombers anymore. That's a good thing. ep4, I guess. Moving forward. Polish independence fighters take try for freedom. This guy became president of Argentina. Go research to that. We will research basic fire control systems and move on. Wait, let me check the decisions. Nope, let me move on. This guy's started fighting in West Siberia, and this guy's the Prime Minister of Indonesia. And so we're on the Ostland. The act has passed. The march towards unity. Newsworthy events in Comey were not the most common thing, at least when it came to the legislature. Rare were legislative functions as banal as bills and acts which captured the attention of media and the general public, but there was expectations to everything. I forgot to, and this was an instant need of change. Yeah, just thought about it. Media outlets, local journalists, and a few prominent community figures were all an attendee as Stalina prepared to sign the National Reclamation Act into law. As she was surrounded by her advisors and several PSD members, it was the perfect kind of event for administration, a useful mixture of impact, propaganda, and authenticity. Of course, this is not exactly how the great triumph of statesmanship most everyone has great China statement that most of everyone has expected the act to pass. Or in boiled a goal even those who disagreed with the PSD could get behind. All the same, the scale, importance, and historical weight of the act could be understated. With the struggle and preparations for the reclamation of the reunification of Russia would begin, how could she not be satisfied that this had been achieved, no matter who assured it had been? With her signature, the act that became law. The people still in attendance broke into applause, and she stood giving the expended handshake smile for the camera and performed obligatory rounds of thanks and pandering attendees. She had to give a few soundbites to some of the journalists as well, but she didn't mind it. Some showmanship was required, especially in a democracy, and if this was the price she needed to endure to ensure that Russia could be unified, well, though it was a very small one to pay. She mattered was what matter was it. What mattered was that it was done, and soon all Russia will be united. Hardest of bargains. Much of the Republic's economy is under control of several large industry magnates, a situation that resulted from deals and understandings between the magnates and previous administrations. Now the magnates wield significant control over the national economy, but they ultimately reliant on the government to maintain their stranglehold. The magnates, for a longer time now, have only been concerned with their own profits and have become complacent and arrogant. It is time they be reminded of who they serve. We hold a significant force leverage of the magnates, and we will use this to force them to work for the Republic once more and guide their efforts towards state projects, efforts, and solutions. This will comply, or they will be broken apart and given to those more loyal. South African War is happening. Alright, and with that, we move on. The South African War. Nothing special there. Some more fighting in Ostland. Moving forward. More fighting. Moving forward. The President of the Supreme Soviet has destroyed the Transbaikal Principality. Those have been destroyed. Poland's been liberated. Britain's in a civil war. Fed ratification number 14's happened. And other things have happened. Eastern territories collapse. We've done that. And found finally democratic salvation. Democracy is Komi. Rest on the edge of the abyss. Criminals and paramilitaries roam the streets. Extremists spew their rhetoric, and little pushback lies and propaganda are commonplace. The previous government oversaw the slow crumbling of democracy in Komi and did nothing to reserve its collapse. Their cowardice nearly doomed the Republic. Stalina and the PSD will not make the same mistake. They will pull back the Republic from the matter. This matter, how much they must intervene, democracy will be protected from those who seek its destruction. Probably missed out a few lines, but moving forward. Labour Party elected in New Zealand. Ukraine's up in flames. And some stuff that's happening in Siberia. Democratic salvation accomplished. Now the line has been crossed. Fascists, Nazis, communists, ideologies of extremism, both controversial, conventional, and esoteric, have not only found foothold in the Republic, but have been able to flourish up to debates. I mean, technically, Samara and the Aryan Brotherhood are more the basis of fascists and Nazis to flourish, but they will have been allowed to masquerade as a legitimate political movement, and this legitimacy made previous government reluctant to crack down on them. However, these movements are not legitimate. They are poison to the Republic, and their actions following the election have crossed a line. This state of insurgency, conflict, and chaos will not be allowed to continue. Stalina and the PSD will convene and determine a solution to this problem and subsequently take action. Get some loot. You are so training your soldiers. Temporal triumph of democracy. Meeting in the middle of the night were not something that Stalina wanted to make regular occurrences, but if the problem of the nation demands it, it is a price she would pay. Petro Gorenko, Gregory Shekhnarov, and several political commissars were all in attendance, all to discuss one single target: how to save the Republic. Stalina turned her attention to the nearest police commissar, Leonid. Summarize your report of election day. The same one you gave me. He nodded once and cleared his throat. Yes, Madam President. Upon a review of the incident report of the election, and we confirmed that multiple instances of voter intimidation, voter infrastructure sabotage, and even several armed clashes between extremist paramilitaries. To say there was election interference would be an understatement. There was a long pause. if the violence had been more widespread, or God forbid, candidates were assassinated, I do not think it is an exaggeration to say that democracy would have come to an end. Thank you, Leonid, Stalina said once he finished, before turning her attention to the rest of the room. The issue before us is clear. We may not be so lucky if it is clear. The issue is clear. Democracy triumphed this time, but the status quo is this. But if the status quo maintains, we will not be so lucky. It is clear there are certain elements who have no interest in preserving the republic and its democratic institutions. My predecessor was content to let this fester. She made sure to meet each of their eyes. Her voice steeled. If you want a fun fact, Stalin literally meant steel in Russian, so the name literally is Svetlana Steel. I will not make the same mistake. Democracy will be secured, and those who threaten it expelled from the nation. She clasped her hands behind her back. As we have work to do, gentlemen, let us not delay. And so begin the first of many long nights. So, there we got some new things here. That's we've got Republican armed reforms. Another description, and clashes of the shadow, which we had last time, but its effects are deleted a bit. And a successful Madagascar rebellion. If you want to know my plans for the smutter, it's quite simple, truly. First, invade these guys while our troops on here block any attempts from anyone to come up through this direction, or through this direction, carrying, or most likely through this direction. So we can delete the West Russian Revolutionary Front first. See if we can integrate Volga, Yevgeny, and a few other states peacefully. If we can't, invade them, but then attack Vietka, or the Principality of Vietka, the Aryan Brotherhood. Depending on who wins, it's most like Samara, so Samara, and then consolidate. Alright, plan secured. Check for any of these. No. Well, as the Autobahn Bismarck once said, no plans. But no, that was Helmut von Kohl. No plans survive the enemy. The older, I mean, not the younger. Anyway. You start to take over Croatia. And the 14th Army has conquered the entirety of the Philippines. The line has been crossed. The Kuratov dossier. The Kuratov district of Sidetsk has been notoriously ungovernable since the inception of the Republic. Communist paramilitaries maintain strict control over all that goes on, and it is primarily a stronghold of Suslov and its associates. Previously, governments have washed their hands of Kuratov and were unwilling to take action, but we will direct differently. We will directly address the problem. No longer is Kuratov no one in Kuratov is clean, and that is present on an opening. A dossier will be commissioned demonstrating the corruption and criminality of every public official there that is or has served. For now, this will be served as a consolidated collection of blackmail material and criminal evidence, but it will be crucial for our plans in the future. Kuratov will be brought under control, and Suslov's machinations will be ended. A lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff. The Republic of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are adopts live at the same time. Also, kind of like the new flags. I mean, they're basically similar to the old Soviet flags, but I mean, I like these ones specifically, most because it changes them from the usual writing on it. Although I do like the previous Tajikistan flag. I guess I like the green Turkestan flag, like the red moon Kazakhstan flag. I'm okay with the new version of the. I like old version of Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. Like the new ones of these three. Turkestan Legion hasn't even changed, so Argentina's reached the South Pole. The West African War is blowing up. End of the Hellenic state. Now the Hellenic Republic, led by the Prosmoro Democratic Krisvenisi of Dimitri Prosoros. Still in the Kurov document gained, now uncap the dog whistle. Passionary have long been one of the greatest threats of the Republic. Headquarters within the infamous International Street, International Street. The intolerance, nationalism, and extremism cloaked in dog whistles and controlled language of moderate media networks. It is a dispel this deception. We will nationalize free Radio Free Svietske, the largest and most legitimate of the passionate media outlets. To silence their lies. At the same time, we will conduct an investigation on Igor Shafarovich and conduct an audit into the finances whilst following his movements. His crimes will be exposed and his downfall, the passionary, will soon follow. That's happened. And this also traces. So eventually we'll lose these guys. Alright. Wasn't even using them. suspicious story, the United Partisan Group looks to be Belarusia in the lead this time. We're to see what a Belarusian victory looks like. Could be cool. Anyway, a word in our ears. President Stalina is deeply I think both those units. Anyway, President Stalina is deeply conscious of the importance of security, and wise enough not to blind herself in inconvenient facts. She is aware of the reality that the government has been infiltrated by those who firmly anti-democratic as well as adherent to other extremist ideologies. This risk must be mitigated. Before it rots our government from within, there are several elements of the military whose loyalty to the Republic is unquestioned. Petro Grinvenko and his staff are among our best, and will be given them greater authority to trust to undertake certain measures to protect the Republic. With Petro advice and the intensification of military intelligence operations against extremist movements, we will keep a close watch on them to ensure the Republic remains protected. By President's directive, Ivan Ivanovich Ivanov stared at the notice in his hand, reading it a second time. The conflicting emotions of disbelief, anger, and fear all raged within. Finally looked up and managed to find his voice. "This is a joke, right?" "I believe the seal speaks for itself," the Comey Republican Army Major answered. A blocky man, with blocky face, but expressive enough to show his barely hidden mirth at the situation. Per the directive of the President of the Comey Republic, Radio Free Svetska is henceforth under the purview of the administration, with all current staff relieved of their duty. Nationalization, they were mocking language, nationalizing the station, and firing all of them at the same time. We was almost impressed that Stalina had a spine to actually go through with it. It was an act of naked political repression, retribution, and abuse, but there wasn't a lot they could do about it. And Stalina definitely knew it. It was a risky play, of course. Doing this in the territory of the Passionary would cause a stir, and in fact that Stalina had apparently decided that was possible. Well, the group of soldiers that were accompanying the major spoke for themselves. "What are we supposed to do now?" he finally asked. "We're out of a job because of you." "That," the major said dryly, "is not our problem." "But I wouldn't worry," he suddenly smiled. "I'm sure that you are able to find something else. Most cockroaches always find another rock to scurry under when exposed." With that, they turned away and marched out, with the soldiers leaving Ivan alone in fumes. There would be some kind of consequence to this, but for now all he could do was stew in indignity of it all. Ivan turned to go back inside, uncertain of how he was going to break the news to his colleagues. That image down here is the symbol of Radio Free Svetska. One vile tongue silenced. Rip my guy. Let's build some schools. Nation declares an emergency, even after being impeached. The Euro Spear destroyed Goering. Goering should have his focus tree back. And Cameroon's destroyed Rwanda. Okay, so each of these do a thing. So, I mean, technically it is democratic for them, for us to technically do this. This is technically the democratic path. This is full-on authoritarianism. So, yeah, final demand. Right, yeah, despite the electoral defeats, the extremists were unrelenting in a request for power. They have reason to think this. Previous governments credited them to act against the elected government without consequence. Unwritten rules were obeyed, corruption was normal, and violence was tolerated. We will not be so lenient, and we have not been idle. Legal measures have been identified, blackmailers collected, military loyalty assured, the state controlled, and we have pressured long enough. It is time to act. We will present the ultimatum to the more legitimate sides of these extremists and make them force their paramilitaries to stand down. In return for their corruption, they will survive, but they will be rendered impotent. For now, this is acceptable to restore stability. Get synthetic arbitrary guidance. Oh, accidentally went off that. Moving on. How long has the video actually been on? Just about an hour. Alright. Euros fishing Ugra and Omsk. A dangerous team up. Yeah, the thing is still running. But they have peacefully incorporated the free aviators. It is pretty quick to get the Ugran capital. Not as much Omsk, although Omsk is much stronger than Ugra. Finally, towards sovereignty. One of the final focuses before we'll finish after doing the event Winds of War. Through pressure, subtlety, negotiation, and resolve, we have successfully been able to advance every single political policy forward and united the Republic under Stalina's leadership. Through difficult and intensive, if our efforts have paid off, and sovereignty of the coming Republic is not only secured, it is stronger than ever. Now we look beyond our borders. Our people are eager, our military is prepared, and the Komi Republic mobilizes for war. All necessary measures are in place. We are ready as we can and ever be. No more excuses or delays. The unification of Russia will begin, and we shall see it through to the end. There's undeniability. Control and power were two tools needed when dealing with political inconvenience, and Andrei Zandarov and Igor Sharaevich both certainly qualify. Both men has been seated and were waiting for her arrival. She only made them wait a few minutes, short enough that they would not become irritated, but long enough for her entrance to make a point that this was her domain, not theirs. Nonetheless, she greeted them with a smile and sat on the opposite side. Gentlemen, thank you for your punctuality. There are several developments that I believe you will want to appraise of Agafia. Well, of Agafia. Folder 1, please. Her aide handed the folder, and Stalina began the meeting. Beginning with the first folder, she methodically moved through them, each containing arrest warrants for various magistrate figures of far right and left persecution, complete with indisputable evidence of corruption, blackmail, and other crimes. As she spoke, she watched them carefully. Both men were growing more uncomfortable. Each of them knew who this was an explicit attack on their supporters, but also being constrained by the fact they were supposedly had no connection with any such criminals. They might be wondering if this was going to end in their arrest, but as much as she'd like to remove them both, fortunately their plausible deniability was too strong. However, that had its own use. When she was finished, she addressed them once again. As you can see, General, I am pleased to inform you that the extremist threat of the Republic has been thoroughly dealt with. Their expression slowly changed as the realization how she had trapped them was clear. Stalina smiled. The Republic appreciates your presence. Continue cooperation should any such threats resurface. Gentlemen, thank you for your service. A bunch of troops have been destroyed, and I have just lost a bunch of my army. Oh, great. I need to also exercise this army as well. Oh. At least can do getting one of you in here. Oh, great. Ignoration of Executive Matsubishi, or whatever the hell. So all of those were basically paramilitary units which we've all destroyed. Also, by the way, fun fact, the symbol here, therefore the P, exact same symbol. So if Stalina is this was Putin, which is a bit unlikely, counting Putin only appeared in the early 90s to recent day, also Civil War and gun. This is the 60s. Plus also Stalina isn't linked to Putin was linked with the KGB. Stalin this time doesn't exist and isn't really linked to any political faction except for the old Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Light support artillery get researched. So she could be that, which could be a totally different thing. The winds of war. Leadership was just as much about optics as it was about substance. All the words in the world were insufficient in the face of action. A fact she never forget. It was why a visit to a military base, not even an important one, just one that many training grounds in the Republic was more than just expression for Stalina. It was a means of demonstrating the fight was just as much hers as it was theirs. There was certainly an optical calculation here, not even then she would deny it, but one could not say it was effective or unjustified. Soldiers stood sharply at attention as she walked past their lines, her face stern, an aura of command she possessed by her decision, adorned military style clothing of her own. Most of the soldiers were young men, boys really, who would soon bleed and die of Russia. Yet each one worked to control himself and hide his nervousness. It was enduring to see and she decided to put them at ease with a friendly smile that seemed to help. She was here for other reasons as well. A demonstration of a new submachine gun was planned. After a brief field test, she fired the weapon herself. She was not too familiar with such a weapon, but it did appear to be effective, perfectly serviceable. It was soon time for her to leave. There were other duties that awaited, though not before she gave some parting words for the soldiers assembled. After a few moments of pause, she began. Each of you have been preparing and readying yourself for this, what is coming. There are many threats that lie beyond the border, parasites and extremists and tyrants who leech off Russia. The war is coming. It will not be easy. It will not be without sacrifice, she continued, whilst meeting the eyes of unflinching. However, I am certain of one thing. After what I have seen today, we are ready to unite Russia under the Republic. So this is the entire Smutter tree. Since we've got her in charge, we'll have to go to Queen of Swords. And so restoring foundations, so the Republic triumph. So our first thing we'll do is our stuff for invading the Soviets. ready. Oh, for the love of God. Oh, for the love of God. Oh, for the love of... this is gonna be a nightmare. Need a... Okay. Oh, for the love. This is gonna... Okay, start from the other side this time. There we go. There we go. Problem done. So, see you next time as we invade the West Russian Revolutionary Front and get some action in for once in a while. I think our Belarusian Central Council victory is coming less soon. Anyway, hope to see you next time. Hope to see you again. This has been Mountain Limited, signing off. Goodbye.